This is TWiT.
For this kind of story, I often tell Leo to make sure that he's well centered over the ball that he is sitting on, because otherwise he may, when he hears this, he may fall off of his ball. And this is just incredible. I'm reading along in a report in the Guardian, .co.uk, a report titled UK's Trident nuclear submarines, quote, vulnerable to catastrophic hack, where a security think tank does not believe that the fact that submarines are inherently, well, okay, the term is air gapped, but in this case, water gapped, should support the level of complacency that the bureaucrats appear to have. In the show notes for anyone, especially if you're in the UK, although I'm not sure it matters where in the world you are, if there's an aberrant nuclear-tipped missile launch, I do have the Hacking UK Trident PDF link in the show notes. It's a 38-page report titled Hacking UK Trident, a Growing Threat, which states that the UK's Trident submarine fleet is vulnerable to, as The Guardian quoted, a catastrophic cyber attack that could render Britain's nuclear weapons useless. It warns that a successful cyber attack could, quote, neutralize operations, lead to loss of life, defeat, or perhaps even the catastrophic exchange of nuclear warheads. And then they say parades directly or indirectly. Okay, so that doesn't sound good, right? The report says Trident sensitive cyber systems are not connected to the internet or any other civilian network. Nevertheless, the report reads, the vessel, missiles, warheads, and all the various support systems rely on networked computers, devices and software, and each of these have to be designed and programmed. All of them incorporate unique data and must be regularly upgraded, reconfigured, and patched. And apparently that has not been happening. The UK has 4 nuclear missile carrying submarines, which are in the process of being replaced. And their replacements are scheduled to go into service, not for a while, in the early 2030s. Okay, so then as I'm reading, I encounter what I described at the top of the show as, and I believe this is UK terminology, a gobsmacking paragraph. Quote, the report comes after the cyber attack last month that disrupted the NHS. Remember how most of the UK's hospital systems and medical infrastructure was completely shut down. This report says that disrupted the NHS, which uses the same Windows software as the Trident submarines. I said, what? Yes, the UK's Trident submarines are running Windows XP.
You know, we could have just skipped all of that and just say, here's the gobsmacking part. There's a bunch of nukes run by Windows XP.
Oh, page 23 reads, the Submarine Command System, the SMCS, we know that the military loves their acronyms. The Submarine Command System was first created for the Vanguard class submarines as their tactical information and torpedo weapons control systems. It has a long and complex pedigree. Its updated versions are based upon a version of Windows XP and known colloquially as, I can't even say this, as Windows for warships.
Oh, that's almost as good as Windows Bob.
Oh,
You think Clippy is going to drop by the UK's Ministry of Defense and say, hey, we noticed that you're running Windows XP. Would you like to upgrade to Windows 10?
Oh, these have now been installed on all active Royal Navy submarine classes. Both Windows-based and Linux-based operating systems hold the legacy of vulnerabilities from the original systems, even though they operate on obscure and classified equipment and run bespoke programs. In 2002, so 15 years ago, it was proposed to convert SMCS, that's the submarine command system, to run on standard x86 hardware, redesigned specifically for naval command systems. The plan, and I'm reading from the report, was to convert the SMCS infrastructure, which used to be proprietary, and applications to run on Microsoft Windows XP. Because what could possibly go wrong? And known as SMCS-NG for next generation, or as it's now commonly known, Windows for warships. This is based upon a variant of Windows 2000 and Windows XP. So yes, even really old XP.
So it's not even XP embedded. This is just sort of a stripped down version of the operating system.
Yes, SMCS-NG was retrofitted into all Royal Navy submarines by December of 2008. The software is supplied as a universal release configured for the sensor and weapons fit of each submarine. The report finishes Windows, and of course this is well known to our listeners, Windows has an entangled monolithic structure as opposed to a modular architecture. It is therefore impossible, they write, to change the proprietary operating system by means of reconfigurations and third-party modules. This structure of, and then they wrote consumer-friendly, and I thought, it's not so consumer-friendly if it lands a nuke in your neighborhood. Anyway, the structure of the consumer-friendly operating system exposes potentially vulnerable services and features. It brings a new meaning to the term potentially vulnerable that might not be required for the adequate functioning of the submarine.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I know I want my weapons officer to be able to play Minesweeper.
You want Skype in your Trident class nuclear armed submarine.